All right, boys and girls. Recapping this morning's trading. Actually, pretty nice day. The cycles were easy. Trading is simple. What happens is we make it complicated. Trading's simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. Buying, selling, high and low, buy button, sell button. But when you follow the cycles, everything comes together nicely. So there's the trades off the open I'll highlight, and then there's several cycles here after the opening trade. Opening trades, just call it within the first hour. There's usually a 30-minute move also. And then the cycles settle in, and this was just classic on NASDAQ. I mean, again, just keep it simple, guys. There's so much opportunity here. I taught on this yesterday in the webinar. And for those of you that missed it, it's recorded, but I think we're going to do another. We had a lot of interest, so we're going to do another webinar probably later this week. Stay tuned for that. But if you guys did join the webinar, you want to get involved with us, I'm going to show you what we did here. Best way to get involved, to take action and start to capitalize on this stuff, is go to cyclical.capital.com. Under services, I'm going to list the link for all that stuff. All right, so this morning, it's narrow range. All your bands are close. A lot of times the range is narrow before the open, unless you have numbers like at 8:30. But you can see everything's laying on top of each other. So when you get this bar, this is the 1-minute chart. There's nothing to think about. Talked about this in the webinar. It's not about ego. It's not about thinking. It's not about analyzing. It's not about scenario building. It's not about projecting what you think should happen. I'm just trading what is. This bar tells you this is a real money candle right off the bat. Boom, go with it long. So I took this long S&P, took into this push. I added on the pullback, took again. We always take on new highs. I don't know if I sold that. I think I definitely sold that. And then that's the first push up. At that same time, I didn't take the Russell long, but there's another 5-minute cycle here that ended up playing first after I made money here. Okay. And then this is the 5-minute chart. Here's the narrow range trade up. This bar from here to here is bearish. You took out the lows, you reversed, bearish. I might actually bought that first move down and made a little bit of money on NASDAQ, but then I took this short. All right, so that's a move up. NASDAQ was weak compared to all the other indices all morning. I don't know. Just sometimes that's how it goes. The Dow's been outperforming all the other indices. I think it's a big rotation out of the there's a rebalancing going on in tech stocks because Nvidia, everything's gone straight to the moon. So they're having to rebalance stuff. I think you're getting flows into healthcare, and oil's been ripping. So there's some names there in the Dow that have been better, but Dow went straight up. I guess I'll show the Dow over here. So I played Dow long also, which gave me more confidence to take the short on the Russell. So Dow is just straight up all morning. And this is what's been going on with the Dow. It's completely outperforming the other indices. Russell's down. I posted that in the Cycle Edge Pro and in some of the Discord chats. But anyway, so this was a long all day. There's a bunch of cycles here to take long, which I did. And after the initial move and this move, after about 10 o'clock, then you settle into 5-minute cycle. Again, don't overcomplicate things. Pies, here's pi. Again, pi is not level specific. We're not using moving averages if they cross. We're not using moving averages if your price is above or below as a trade execution setup. We're not using it like that. It's a divider of time. Price cycles away from it, comes back to it. But it does give you good location. Failed, failed, failed. All right. Money, 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 money. So it took that short and then took both of these short. This one I actually have an interesting teaching point to make. I'm going to show you how I added up to it on like the 1 minute, and I think I teed it up so that I can show you because everything's fractal. So this cycle is like this, the 5-minute. When you're coming up the 5-minute cycle, your 1 minute looks like that. You have a underlying even smaller time frame, the tick chart, that's moving in and out that bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. But when it starts to roll, you can start to see first the tick chart change, then the 1 minute change. And so it makes it easier to come in and pick off this side of the cycle. And then that's where you make your money right there. Boom. So I'm going to try my best here to kind of walk through that. And then I talked about the Dow, Russell. So Russell, 100% retrace this morning. If you made money on the way up and you bought the dip, you would have given some back. But essentially, this is a 5-minute cycle that went pretty much parabolic on the near term and then came all the way back. But the timing is the same. Okay, here's the top of the cycle. So how you play things matters. The way price moves away from the averages matters. Space and distance matters in a short period of time. And you can have too much of something is a bad thing. Too much of something is a bad thing. This straight up on the 5-minute chart, look at it relative to these other moves. Straight up inside of 2 bars, 3 bars, 1, 2, 3. So I actually faded that. And again, the first move is up. So I'm not trying to short this right out the gate. I'm not trying to get in the way of this train. But when I'm making money here, then I'm like, all right, I need a little bit of a hedge. Cool. This is getting overbought. That's overbought. That's overbought. Market crash, back down to earth. Boom, covered, made money on that also. But my guys know we don't go in contrarian. We go in with the flow, with the momentum first. You don't want to trade contrarian all the time. It's 80-20. 80% of the time with trend. 20% of the time, fine. Contrarian. Ideally, you've already made money with the trend, and then you go contrarian, and then you're just trading masterfully, milking the market. So I won't go any more on that on the Russell. I do want to touch on this turn and this pivot. So I'm going to show you guys the open first. Here's S&P long. What I said. Go with the flow. Boom, long, added, push to a new high, take profit. Pullback, added, push to a new high, took. Another pullback, added, took, sold the highs. Always take on new highs. This is what I've been talking about. The first push up, and then the secondary push. The secondary one is usually larger. First push up, secondary is larger. Let's go to the 1 minute real fast. I don't know. I don't know if it's larger, but that's usually how it plays out. It's this up, pull back, secondary move, up, pull back. There's a little pullback here too, but the point is that right off the open. Okay, and then what else did we do? Here's the Russell. Oh, sorry, that's S&P. This is me starting to get longed out. That was a little bit later. Okay, here's NASDAQ. I guess I'll just talk about this real quick. Let's focus on S&Ps for here. I bought Pi after my S&P long. First time down after all this. The Pi, I'm not surprised we bounced. Made a quick little scalp there. Not really a trending play, but this is the biggest bar on this 1 minute chart. That shows you where the power is. The bears have control. I went short. Okay, I added. Took out this low. Here was another BCI. Teach that. Sold more. Next push. Cover. Cover. Done. Boom. That put me up pretty good on the morning. Basically 2 moves inside of not even 10 o'clock. And not sitting around trying to trade that type of move, you're done. After that amount of move on the open, you're done. You're not trying to sit here and trade every tick up move all the way into lunch. When on the open, I was fine with that. Boom. Especially on NASDAQ, there's full contracts, you take it. This was the S&P trade. And I already highlighted this one. Okay. And I noticed I was still long a piece somewhere in there. And that gave me even more. I was already long this, kind of dragging it back. But when I started going short NASDAQ's a bigger full contract than I was adding to NASDAQ on this move down. So this was just me just punting on that. But it was just fine. That went down less than what we made on the NASDAQ. I actually ended up giving a lot back on that though, relative to what I was up here. But still made more than what the S&P rally. I was up good, but I made more shorting NASDAQ down than dragging this S&P all the way back. That's why I don't really know how to explain that. I was basically caught both moves. It's just kind of you have both sides, so I'm adding in the direction of both. And then at the same time, though, Russell, I'm short, so I was fine dragging that one contract back. Short, faded it, came back to earth, cover. Done with that one. Not that complicated. Next, here's a little bit of what I was doing on the Dow. That was bullish all morning. I'm just buying the dips on the 1 minute, 5 minute cycle. I was in and out, buying. I think that's a full 5 minute cycle. I'll show you guys on the chart here. This was a good trade. This pullback, I'll show you on the other charts, a little bit easier to see. This is me playing NASDAQ 5 minute cycle short and then waiting on another nice cycle on the 1 minute, buying into the pullback, at the same time being short S&P. Okay, so this is first morning move, second morning move. Focus more on the cycles. I was short here and started getting long the Dow, and Dow was much firmer today. And then this 1 minute cycle, I'm buying into that pullback. And notice S&Ps didn't really go down that much. I actually end up making money on S&P there because by the time bought into this pullback, couple pushes, another ad, push to new highs, out on the high. Pretty sure that was actually the high of the move. I had made more money there, and S&P didn't even go up, so I just covered that and boom, made money on that also. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to the other chart just a second, just so it's a better visual. But this was the turn on the 5-minute cycle on the NASDAQ. So you can see, look, I'm busy here. 5-minute cycle's down. Talked about this bar, bearish, boom. That's your trade. Don't care about this. Don't care. Why? 5-minute cycle is coming up. Get back towards the top of the cycle. Now I'm interested. This was here, probably kind of near the highs on the 5-minute cycle. Had a little move down, covered. Over here, I have minis. And I'm trading the minis long, contrarian on the smaller time frame versus the short. So when I get short minis, I'm playing this trend. This is what my goal is, to play this. But in the ebb and flow, short, long, sell, long into the pop. And then up here, notice how I waited for, I highlighted this. The percent K on the cycle gets high up here with the 1 minute into the top of the 5-minute cycle. Sold again. So this was a quick scalp. And the 5-minute cycle wasn't really starting to roll yet. So I just shorted some again. And then when I'm going to add more than that, this is short one, cover one, short one, cover one. When I add, is trying to be on the right-hand side of the cycle breaking down. This is the left-hand side, right-hand side. And when that changes, then I add, trying to find this right here. And then the drop. Okay, right-hand side of the cycle. This is what that looked like on the tick chart. We're rallying. I was long because I sold here, covered, sold again. So I'm short the bigger contract. So this is me covering at this point. And then I just bought a few to be long, sitting through this move. Sitting through this move up. Long, long. Cycle gets high on the smaller time frame. I book that. And then I think I have one more slide. When I break this low, that's equivalent of kind of breaking the 8 right here. And that's when you hit it again. So this is the fractal nature of markets. When this goes, you'll see it in a second what that looks like. Here's the 1 minute. My first sale added. See how you broke the 8 right there? That's a change in the trend. This is from here to here. This is me long. Small. Doesn't really matter. 50 bucks, 60 bucks, 70 bucks, 80 bucks. But I'm keeping my feelers in the market. That's, people talk about feel. It's not about emotion. It's about like being involved. So here I buy the lows that come up. This pretty good little rally. We sold here the 1 minute cycle. Notice this is what I just highlighted on the previous slide. When that breaks, that's a change in trend here. That's below the 8. Boom, add it again. And you'll notice I'm long from here, small. Say I'm long like 3 lots here and minis. That's nothing compared to being short 2, the full contract here. Long 3 or whatever, not a big deal. When this breaks, this is me coming out of my long. And I added, and then I'm covering after the next push. So I'm shorting the full contract on the break. And then at the same time, I'm covering here, where this doesn't matter that much because you're focused on this at that point. The directional play is this. This is just kind of afterthought. Once this breaks, I'm just showing you at this point, I'm covering, boom, covering into these lows on the NASDAQ right here. Okay, and then after that, I was pretty much done on NASDAQ for the day. All right, that's my last cover, pretty much into the low. And then this was just me kind of cleaning up what I had left over. I decided to short a little bit there, sold some at pie on the tick chart, and then just like, all right, I've had enough. 5,200. This is how you trade consistently. I'm long short 1, 2, 3, 4 contracts. The minis makes it 5, but it's actually part of the NASDAQ. But I'm long and short, different time frames, different durations. And that's what I mean by it's putting it all together with the cycles. And then learning how to work the cycles. But everything I traded up on the day. So that was a nice morning. Again, guys, go to psychologicalcapital.com if you want to get involved. I can teach you this. Anybody can learn cycles. I've trained over 70 traders independently in the last 3 or 4 years. I've trained 5 different junior traders on institutional desks. I like teaching. I'm passionate about it. You can do it. But this is a great way to get involved at an amazing price. So that's going to be here under Cycle Edge Services if you missed the webinar. And I don't know what you're waiting for. To pull out that type of money in a couple hours. There's high level trading. I don't know anybody else that teaches that. So anyway, guys, good start to the week. I'll see some of you in the morning.